So what's going on, people? Welcome to another video on the channel, and welcome to something that I haven't done in a long time. This is our E3 prediction video. Now, the last time I did this was years ago, and in the last ones I did do it throughout every single conference. Essentially, this was back when PlayStation was still doing their conferences, but in today's video we're going to be doing it for Xbox and Bethesda. Now, the reason why I'm doing it for Xbox and Bethesda is just because they're both doing it joint, so it makes it a lot easier to do it all in one video. The reason why they're doing it joint is because Microsoft bought Bethesda, so it makes more sense to do it together. So before I get into the video, remember to like and subscribe for more of this type of content and for more gaming content in the future. There will be more content coming in the future, I do promise. It's just, getting the flow of trying to get my mindset back into making stuff is a bit hard to do. So hope you guys enjoy, and let's get straight into the first thing. So yes, we are going to start this off as the hard hitter of Halo Infinite. Now, we could start it off in different ways, and I would... hopefully, I would hope that Xbox or Microsoft decide to bring out Halo Infinite as the first thing on the conference itself. Just because news has to be hit about this one, especially since last year's video of it did bring out some graphical changes and everything like that. And there was a lot of uproar about what the grunts, well, not the grunts, what the brutes look like. The grunts were fine. The brute, on the other hand, that one did not look the best. So, we have to see something new from that one. And usually how they do all this type of stuff is that they bring out the first trailer, then they bring out the gameplay trailer, or the gameplay reveal, the gameplay trailer itself, and then for the third time they try and do a bit more towards the gameplay and a bit more towards the multiplayer. Now, I'm hoping to hell that they do bring out a multiplayer beta. Now, this could be something that has been done in the past. They did it for Halo 5, and they did do it for Halo Wars 2, which I would like to see a bit more towards the multiplayer itself, just because we don't know how that's going to be just yet. And they have revealed a lot of the redesigns towards the weapons and towards everything like that. So, we have to try and have a bit more towards it. Now, one thing we did see from after last year's kind of conference side, when 343 themselves decided to bring out a couple more things about Halo Infinite, is that the multiplayer is going to be free to play, which is very nice. It'll bring in a lot more people towards it. The pricing towards the game itself would, more or less, I would like to see it a bit lower if you are buying the game itself, because you are buying it for the campaign, and that's it at that point. So, there's going to be loot boxes, there's going to be that type of stuff because it's a free-to-play game. There's going to be a battle pass system. Everybody knows that. We just want to see the gameplay. We want to see how it works. We want to see that type of stuff. And I think everybody out there already knows that, we want to see some more Halo, because it's the thing that makes people want to buy the console at times, is always the games. It's the exclusive games. Now, if I am being honest towards Halo Infinite itself, I would say I'm the middle ground towards the hype side. I enjoy playing Halo. It was the game that first got me into an FPS type of system towards actually being able to play it well. So, it's one of those grounds which it sticks well in my heart, because I played Reach quite a lot when I first had my 360. So I've played it ever since then. And, I've played every single one of the titles that they had. Even the Spartan Assaults, I even played them, okay? And even the Halo Wars, I played all of them. So, it's something that it's close to me. But if you guys want to see something different, please comment it down below. Anything that you guys want to see from Halo itself, or what 343 could actually bring out. They could bring out something towards Halo Wars 3 by any chance, but I doubt that they would do that. I doubt that they would bring out something towards Halo Wars 3 unless it's like the smallest of trailers, which, it won't bring it away. But if they bring out like a small actual animated trailer, or an in-engine trailer towards Halo Wars 3, it kind of makes a bit more sense, or like a spin-off Halo towards that. It'd be nice to see that, but I think their main focus towards the Xbox conference would be towards the Halo, and they'll have their own setting towards that. Our next thing that's going to be another hard hitter, I would say, because it's the exclusive that, Xbox has, which is Forza, or Forza if you're American. It's Forza. This is going to be probably the Forza Motorsport 8, mainly because they had the Horizon 4 as the last one, and then, they usually go to a Motorsport right after that. It's quite nice to have the Motorsport compared to all the other ones, just because it's nice to have a track instead of a fully open world thing, and mainly because the team that do the Horizon is onto something else, which we'll come to later. But the Motorsport 8, I would guarantee that this is going to be a completely Xbox Series X exclusive. It's not going to come to the Xbox One, and it's going to become to the PC as well, because it makes sense. The hardware can support it. It does make a lot more sense to have it as a Windows 10 thing as well, because Microsoft makes sense, completely makes sense. But personally, myself, I do enjoy having a racing game, here and there. I like just having them, owning them. It's a relaxing type of game. It's not a fully competitive game. Forza Motorsport, I've enjoyed playing them in the past. I started, of course, playing it as Forza Motorsport 3. That was the first one I played, and then I went on from that. I played a couple of them, missed a couple of them, went back to them again because of Game Pass, which is extremely well to have. But it's gonna be nice to actually see some gameplay towards it with the Xbox Series X, especially since this time, the console's out, they have to use it as much as they can. So I feel like, the whole conference is going to be aimed towards PC and Xbox Series X exclusive games, just because they have to try and push the selling of the console as much as they can. Now, if we take a break from the games itself, we'll go on towards the hardware itself. Just because they usually do this around this time, and they'll showcase certain things. Other years they've done it as a separate event, but it's E3. I think they kind of have to say something, just because people will be watching it. It's not going to be a standalone thing that Microsoft can do themselves. People know that this is coming around. People know that this event is coming because they've done it a couple of weeks in advance. So they have to say something about the hardware, just because of the demand of the hardware is quite high at the moment, and I know that a lot of people are having to resort to buying the Xbox Series S instead. I myself, luckily got an Xbox Series X. Even in the UK, very luckily got it. I know in the US it's been a little bit easier to get them, especially since Microsoft or Xbox has been putting out a system to actually be able to pre-order the Xbox Series X as soon as it comes over, or as soon as it gets manufactured, puts to the retailers. There's an insider program to pre-order it through that. So, whoever's in the insider program can actually pre-order the Xbox Series X. Right now, that's not available for Europe. So I would kind of hope that Microsoft kind of brings that to Europe, just because Europe is going to be one of those big selling countries. Because right now, it's PlayStation and Xbox are both trying to get as many sales as they can in America, because they both know that that's where the main audience is. But I feel like if one of the two kind of go towards Europe as much as they can, they'll get a lot more sales, because Europe's having a bit of like a kind of bit more towards the drips and drabs of all of the consoles. As far as most of the retailers in the UK are kind of getting some here and there, compared to the US, where a lot of the retailers are trying to pre-order the console as much as they can, so that means they can get in as much of the sales as they can as well. Now, some other things that they could bring out could be a new controller design. They could bring out that quite easily. They could. We won't see a remodel or anything towards the consoles itself, because they've only been out for a year. I would kind of say that the remodel towards the consoles will come out in the next 2 years, especially towards the Series S. We might see the Series S keep on going for a couple of years, just because the hardware itself is going to be quite hard to keep up with certain games and the demand of certain games as well. So I can kind of feel like the Series X will become the standard, and then after that they'll bring out a more powerful console after that one. But as far as Xbox itself, they kind of double down on a lot of the certain accessories and stuff like that. So towards like the headset, I know we had the headset before, we could see certain types of things like that. It's a vague thing towards E3. You could see stuff like the hardware being announced or certain aspects towards it, just some updates towards it, just because it's a gaming event. They would still like to see stuff like that. So now if we move over to another big thing, but we'll move away from the Xbox side and we'll go towards Bethesda. Now, this is something that's going to be a little bit different because we don't know how Bethesda's games are going to work just yet. Just because since Microsoft took over Bethesda, it's quite hard to tell if they're going to be exclusive to PC and Xbox, or are they still going to be a multi-gen type of game instead. So the first one that we're going to go over is the game StarField. Now, StarField has had a lot of rumours as of late, just to say that it's going to be shown at least at some point, or just something is going to be shown this year, just because it's been 3 years since anything has been said about it. That's the only reason why. And especially since the takeover of Bethesda could mean that we could see something come from StarField itself. Now, StarField, I would say, is going to be a multi-gen thing, just because it got announced 3 years ago. Microsoft can't really make it exclusive to Xbox and PC, just because Bethesda have already said that it's coming to all next-gen consoles, so they can't, change that already. I'm just saying that right now. And StarField is going to be a little bit different. I would say it's going to be like Outer Worlds. I know that is a company that used to be part of Bethesda and making Fallout New Vegas, but StarField is very similar in that way, since it is a space single player RPG. And it's a completely new IP for Bethesda. So we don't know anything about it. It could come late this year. It could come late next year. It could come in like 3 years' time. We fully don't know what it's going to be like. It could be a mashup between a completely different game. It could be more towards, their normal RPG dialogue type of setting, but you visit different planets. It could be towards that. It'd be nice to have that, especially since you could have like space battles towards it. That would be unique towards the game itself, just because we've been used to riding a horse in one of them, and that's it. But it's gonna be different to see. I'm very much hyped about it. I do like a single player game myself, and I know like a lot of people out there, they played the hell out of Skyrim. They played the hell out of Fallout. Fallout has been one of them that's been a fall off instead of a Fallout game. Just because Fallout 4, it did well. It got Game of the Year, but it didn't do well enough, I would say. It wasn't something that stands up to Fallout 3 and Fallout New Vegas standards. And then they brought out Fallout 76. So, that's how that one was just a meh type of thing. So we have to see what Starfield's going to be like. So another thing that we could see could be the Elder Scrolls 6. Now, we don't know what the full title is going to be, apart from just Elder Scrolls 6. Last time we saw it was 2018, same with StarField. 2018 was the year of Bethesda just announcing stuff and getting people hyped. And then the fact that we haven't seen anything for 2 years about it, getting to 3 years now, it kind of worries people at times. But I know the reason why they did it. They just want to say like, oh look, here it is. It's coming to the next gen consoles. Just because, it's hard to make everything for the old gen. And, the power-wise, it's quite hard to make it for old gen, which it does make a lot more sense. I know that there has been rumours and, Bethesda has kind of said that it's more than likely to see StarField compared to Elder Scrolls 6. Now, I can still kind of see Elder Scrolls 6, showing something. Maybe towards an in-engine type of thing. It'd be quite nice to have. Kind of like how EA did towards their reveal show. I think it was last year, where they just said like, oh, here's some games and here's some just in-engine type of animations which we've been trying out. That could be something that we could see towards Elder Scrolls 6, just some, like snippets of what could happen and what the setting could be, what the graphics could look like, what the engine could actually look like, because, it's quite hard to kind of tell. A lot of the stuff looks exactly the same towards, Bethesda stuff at times, especially in their open world stuff. It'd be quite nice to just see a new engine completely, just, revamped. It'd be so nice to have, but, we don't know if it's actually going to be shown or not. If you guys want to see, Elder Scrolls 6 at least showing something, please comment it down below. Anything you want to see from Elder Scrolls 6, just comment it down below, because I know it's one of those games which is incredibly hyped up and nobody knows anything about. Now, if you follow the theme of those two titles, we go towards an Xbox exclusive title from Obsidian Entertainment. Now, Obsidian Entertainment are the ones that were involved and they were behind the develop towards Outer Worlds and Fallout New Vegas. Now, they do have their own single-player medieval fantasy RPG titled Avowed. This is something that is going to be very similar to Skyrim wise, but it's an Xbox exclusive title, which is a very big deal towards Xbox itself. I am an Xbox gamer. I have a Switch, I have a PC, I have a Series X. Those are the only consoles that I have as of right now. But, it's something that has been one of the hyped up games for quite a long time. And it did get a trailer last year, which was a very good trailer. I would like to see a bit more towards it, just because we don't know when it's coming out just yet. It's going to be probably, I would guess, maybe a 2022 type of title. But as long as we have some more like gameplay, because we just had a reveal trailer, some more gameplay, more of a maybe like a fall 2022 or spring 2022, something on those lines would be quite nice to have, just because that means there's kind of like a roadmap towards the games itself, especially since this is a completely different title towards any of the other Xbox exclusive games that they have. It's going to be quite nice to have. And then at the same time, it could bring in some more users towards the console, especially since the demand of the console is there, but the consoles aren't there just yet. It might bring in some more gamers towards the console for certain games, especially ones that are like Avowed. Now, another game that we could see could be the Ninja Theory's game of HellBlade 2, the sequel to the 2017 hit HellBlade. This is something that has had a lot of updates over the past year, one of which has been that it has been confirmed that the engine that they're going to be using is the Unreal Engine 5, and we still don't have any information about HellBlade 2. Personally, myself, I have never played the HellBlade game, and it is something that does look extremely unique, especially since Ninja Theory did get bought, or they got brought in to the Microsoft team, the Microsoft Game Studios. So it's got funding towards it. Microsoft has backed it, and I could sense something being shown at this year's E3. It'd be quite nice to have, especially since it has been 2 years since it did get announced. It got announced 2019, where it was just a quick trailer. So maybe having another trailer this year to show off the Unreal Engine 5, especially towards maybe a bit more towards a in-game engine trailer, it's completely fine. Or a gameplay trailer, just depends on how far through the game is. Since we don't know when it's going to be made or when it's actually going to be released, it could be a 2022 thing. We don't know just yet. Even if games like this year, they get announced for next year, it would be still nice to have a laid out roadmap for certain games, especially for exclusive ones. It would be quite nice to have. So now we move on to probably the one of the bigger ones that's been hyped up for Xbox themselves, which is Fable, or as other people have said, it's Fable 4. A lot of people have said it's the 4th installment in the Fable franchise. Technically, it's the 6th, because of Fable Heroes and then Fable Legends. You know, but sure, whatever, the fourth installment, whatever, okay then. But you know, it's something that has to be shown, I think, this year. Something has to be shown for Fable. I know last year they did a small reveal trailer just to say we are making a Fable game, which I'm completely fine with. And now they actually know what the engine's going to be like, so that means we could see something, even if it's small, a small gameplay trailer, we could see it, or a small in-engine trailer of the actual heroes or whatever, just a bit more, just a small bit more. Maybe next year we might get a full trailer towards it. We already know that it's going to be exclusive to the Series X, Series S, and Windows PC. So, of course, it's going to be exclusive anyway because it's an Xbox title completely. But it's being made by Playground Games, which are the ones that have made the Forza Horizon games. So, you know, it's something that's completely different. And now we don't know how it's going to be. But I would say that the Fable game is probably the most anticipated Xbox title for probably the next 2 years. It's going to be the most anticipated title. Now, the only reason why I'm saying that it's the most anticipated title is just because there hasn't been a full Fable game since 2010. And I did get it wrong before. It's probably the 7th installment in the, you know, Fable franchise, just because I forgot about the Kinect one. Dear God, the Kinect game. But yeah, since Fable 3 came out in 2010, this is the first time we're going to have a fully open world game again. So it'll be nice to have that feeling. I enjoyed playing Fable. Fable is one of those games where it's unique, it's got the charm towards it, and, you know, we want to see a bit more. We want to see a lot more towards Fable itself, just because there's so much more they could do towards this game. In the previous ones, they made it a lot more gimmicky, a lot more cartoony. This one looks like it's going to be very realistic. Just from the trailer and the pictures, it looks incredibly beautiful. The scenery about all of it just looks amazing. And I cannot wait to actually play it. It could be a long time before we get to play it. It could be 2 years, maybe 2 years. We don't know just yet. I think it's 2021 now. It could be 2023 before we can actually play it. But the more we actually see of the game, the more updates we have about the game, I think the better the game would be. Just because the more updates we get, the more we know it's actually still being worked upon. So, you know, we kind of have to see something about this game. A lot of games that have been announced last year, we kind of have to see a bit more about them. Just because gamers like you and me, we kind of always have to know that games are being worked upon. Just because we lose faith. For some reason, gamers lose faith in certain titles if we don't hear about it for like 2 years. Which, if I'm being honest, is a fair thing for all gamers to think. Because we always think that titles will take about 3, 4, maybe 5 years to develop at times. And sometimes certain developers are working on those titles 2 years before that certain game has come out. Towards like the sequel wise. So I think for Fable, I think we kind of have to see something. We have to see something that's maybe big. Hopefully big. Something over those 4 days. Hopefully we have something big. Now, of course, what other games could we see? We could see a lot of other games because Xbox have got a lot of different studios right now. And we don't know what certain studios are actually going to be developing. Bethesda is supposed to be making a fully exclusive game towards Xbox. Now, this could be a spin-off towards one of their already owned, you know, franchises. And they've got a lot of franchises they could pick between, especially towards like Doom, Wolfenstein. You know, it could be a first-person thing. It could be a fully RPG thing. We don't know just yet. But there's a lot of different developers that could be making games for Xbox. Some of which could be the Psychonauts 2. We could see something about Psychonauts 2, especially since it's supposed to be still coming out this year. And, you know, it would be nice to actually see something about that one. Another thing could be the Hello Neighbor 2. A lot of them could be sequels towards the games. There was a lot of games that were showed last year and a lot of things that were brought out, especially towards Psychonauts 2, you know, since Xbox acquired Double Fine. Those are the developers of that, so you know we probably will see something from that game especially from that franchise. We'll probably see something towards that one. Another game which has probably been rumoured in the past to come out has been State of Decay 3. I would probably say that maybe next year we might see something, or we might see a release for that game next year. Personally, I would probably say that we might get maybe a trailer this year for the State of Decay 3. We had a trailer last year, but maybe a gameplay trailer this year. I don't think it's going to be too much, especially since it's going to be a completely different setting towards all the other ones. Like a snow biome, it's going to be very unique. There's going to be a lot of stuff to change towards the game, especially towards the graphic side. There's a lot of stuff that we haven't seen about State of Decay 3. There's so many game titles, and it's so hard to pick certain games, and it's so hard to actually say what type of games we're going to see over the course of maybe like a 1.5 hour conference. Because we could see maybe about 40 games in an hour and a half quite easily. But that's the main reason why, I'm making something like this. We might see something about Gears of War, we might not. Especially since, Gears of War 5, it came out recently. We might not see something about Gears of War 6. We probably will. It is... it's one of them. It's the Coalition. They churn out those Gears of War games quite a bit. If they think of a story, they bring it out in a game. That's how it works. So we probably will see something about Gears of War 6. I don't think it would come out this year. If I'm being personally honest, Gears of War 6 won't come out this year. Especially if you've got a Halo title, you don't want a Gears of War title coming out next to it. So I would probably say Gears of War 6 next year. That's just my honest opinion about it. 2022 is Gears of War 6. Complete guess in the dark. Don't take anything that I say as he said it. It's real. Complete. Honestly, it's a complete guess. All of this is a complete guess. And that's why I like to see you guys comment it down below for what you would like to see. From previous E3s, some games that we haven't seen just yet, some games that have been completely rumoured. What type of games would you like to see from Xbox or Bethesda? I will do other videos towards the other companies. So I will do another one towards EA. I'll do another one towards Ubisoft. PlayStation, I could do PlayStation, but they're doing it a bit differently. Especially since they're just doing announcements. They might do their own thing over July, I think it was. And I think EA are doing theirs July as well. So I could wait towards EA's itself, or I could do it recently and try and predict what the Battlefield 6 thing is going to be, since that's coming June. So, it's quite a lot of things could be announced. And then, of course, you do have Nintendo. There's so many companies that I could go over. So there's about, 5 videos right there. Four videos right there. Can't count. There was 4 companies, 4 videos. Quite easily I could go over all of them. So if there's anything you would like to see from Xbox, whether it be in certain aspects towards a game that I've already said, or a game that I haven't actually said, which got announced ages ago, I've just gone over the ones that are obvious things that we could see. And probably, more of the hyped up games, because I haven't even said about anything about Avowed. There was another one which was called Loot River. A lot of these type of games are more towards like an indie setting. We're going to see a lot of indie games, which could be incredibly cool to have. And a lot of the developers that Xbox have, they could make a lot of the indie games just to have something fast to be chucked out. If they think of an idea, they might as well make that game and just show it to Microsoft and go, hey, look at this. I want to kind of just, develop this, make it fast, just whilst we're making another game. They could do that. They could quite easily do that. This could be what Bethesda could be doing. They could make something very small, and then it could be something big that could be brought back, like a completely new IP, or, a spin-off towards their other stuff. Just make it an Xbox exclusive thing. They could quite easily do that. But, hope you guys enjoy this video. It's a little bit different, just because it's been a long time since I've actually done a video like this. There's a lot of stuff that could be brought to E3, especially at this time. There could be anything. There's a lot of rumors going out, and you know, we could see any of the games. Of course, we'll probably see some games that are going to be multi-gen, that are going to be showcased at Xbox. A lot of the time we do see an Assassin's Creed thing. A lot of the time we do see FIFA, of course, or at least a sports game, a shooter that's a multi-gen, and preferably like an adventure RPG type of setting game. It's usually Assassin's Creed that gets showcased at Xbox. I don't know why it is. I think it's just the Ubisoft dealership with Microsoft. I think they just have something, so that means they just showcase the games a little bit earlier. You know, PlayStation have had Activision for a long time instead, so you know, they've swapped it over a little bit. It's completely fine. I'm completely fine with that. But hope you guys enjoy. Remember to like and subscribe. Remember to comment down below what you guys would like to see from Xbox and Bethesda. I will have other videos up for the other ones. So in the future, as soon as E3 gets a bit closer, all the videos should be up. And, you know, I will have them all in a playlist. That means you guys can check it. All of the things that I've said about today will be timestamped down below. And that means you can actually check and click between each of the things. That means you can easily click through and try and find the thing that you want to see, and to see what type of stuff I actually talk about. So hope you guys enjoy, and I will see you guys in the next video. So peace out.